This little video is going to be a look ahead. I'm going to go over some things that are not due for a while, but I do think they need to be assigned this week, or at least I need to give you the opportunity to see what's going on with these items. So the portfolio in this class is not going to happen the way it was originally designed. It was part of when I changed the course to streamline it and also make it easier for everybody at the end. I did keep the reflection essay part of it, which is really the main part of the portfolio anyway. What I cut, I don't mind telling you, is a required revision that was part of the portfolio. Now that was in addition to the other revisions that were done on papers, but I took that away and I streamlined it to just a reflection essay. It's very structured. I don't think it's difficult to do, and I will show you exactly what it looks like. Before I open up this document and talk about it, I will say that it's critical that you understand the due dates. I know I didn't have to do it this way, but I set it up so that students who are trying to decide on whether or not to do pass fail need to give it to me by the 23rd if they want it graded in time for me to have it back to them by the 27th. Please don't turn it in early just because you want your grade early if you're not doing pass fail, because I am volunteering to work extra hard to try to help people out that are in a bad position at the end and genuinely trying to decide whether to do pass fail. So if that applies to you, get your work in to me, all of it, by the 23rd, if you want it graded in time for you to make an informed decision. So if you're cool with not knowing for pass fail, or you're not doing pass fail, don't turn it in until the 27th. Please don't turn it in early, because I don't want a lot of people turning it in early and then forcing me to grade it when they weren't going to do a pass fail anyway. I hope that makes sense. Okay, let me go past this ugly stuff and just scroll down into the final week of the class. And so you'll see that you've got those two weird due dates. I know for me, it's weird to have stuff like, okay, it's due at this time if you want feedback by this time and so on. It's the 27th though, for I think most of you. I don't think a lot of people are going to do pass fail, but you'll have your papers back in time to do a revision by Thursday, the 27th. And the instructions for that aren't here yet because I have to, make them up. I'm not doing everything in advance. And then the reflective essay is mentioned again down here. And then that just kind of goes into the end. So you can see where I deleted the exams from the course. They were going to be done online anyway, but it's really streamlined down to one thing. So what is that one thing? Okay, so the one thing is, whoops, up here in the same document. Well, I've been making videos for a while. I'm tired. Okay, it is the reflection essay assignment. This is the last thing that you'll do in the class, and it is very structured. I'm going to open this as a Google Doc. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to open it as a Google document, make your own copy, and you'll load it to Blackboard on the 27th, and you'll load it by the end of the day on the 23rd if and only if you're going for the pass fail and you want feedback from me. Now you can still choose pass fail on the 27th if you turn it in, but you're not going to have grades back from me if you don't turn it in on the 23rd. Okay, so what are you doing? You're writing a letter. The letter goes along with your work, and it has very specific sections. It has a salutation. You basically are introducing what you're doing in the letter. And then it has a section on your strongest and weakest work in the class, a section on your overall writing experience. A section, number 4, is takeaways from the course, and section 5 is on class participation. I figure, like anything else we've done in the class, or really, this is just part of my teaching in general, you would want to see samples. So I linked to sample reflection letters. They are going to look slightly different than the one you're going to write because these students also wrote a portfolio that they mention in their letters. And they also did a slightly different version of the class because they wrote 3 papers and we had to cut paper number 2. The way I'm going to evaluate this letter is pretty simple. And so it's graded on completion and quality. Quality here is not just a euphemism for effort, but let's face it, I can tell whether you put some time into it or not. So if you turn in a hot mess, your grade's not going to be as high as if it looks like you really took the time, you looked at the samples, and then you wrote your letter. So this is a very general, what I call a holistic rubric, because if you turn in something that is complete, it has specific examples, it shows organization, and there's evidence of proofreading, you're going to get 100 on it. If there's some generalization and then there's some minor proofreading mistakes, like more than a couple, then you'll get a B. And this is the kind of thing where I say, okay, if it's squiggled and underlined and it's flagged as a mistake, then you should right click on it and fix it. That's pretty simple stuff. And also show one of the things I've taught in the class over and over, which is that you've read it out loud. So this is a very general criteria here because it's graded mostly on completion and effort. So something else I really want to say about this assignment is that I'm expecting to get essays on this unlike it have ever seen. Because how could you possibly write about this stuff without addressing what's happened to us this semester? So like if you came down to this part where you're writing about some of your worst moments or whatever, maybe that's transitioning to online learning and that it was a real struggle. Or maybe the converse is true. You found that it was really a good fit for you. And what about the class participation section? I mean, to me, this is going to look completely different than anything I've ever seen before, because participation, when you become fully in charge and you're not sitting in a room in front of me and with other people, is a very different kind of a thing. So you'll see in the samples that those come out of two classes where the students were face to face with me. These are from last fall. They're not that old really. So they're going to be a little different than what yours is going to be like. But that's a look ahead. So if you want to kind of peek and see what's coming up, there it is. And I really am looking forward to seeing what you guys write, because this is the strangest semester I've ever been involved in. And this is your chance to voice what you want to tell me about your learning. Thanks.